Alright guys, welcome back to my channel where we are putting this 1972 Corvette on a Z06 chassis.
And today we're going to brace this frame to withstand the lateral G-forces in the racetrack.
So sit back and enjoy.
What?
So sit back and enjoy.
What? What?
This isn't working.
Alright guys, welcome back to my channel. In the last episode you saw us finish the front section of this frame on our 1972 Z06 Corvette project. This is going to be a pro touring racetrack machine. Should be pretty cool when it's all done. So, I think I'm going to start on this back brace first, running from the subframe to the crossover here, cross member. And I got a piece of 2x2. This is actually, I think 14 gauge. It's a little thin, but I'm kind of using it as a template to make sure of my sizes. And that's the right size. Now when I cut this, I need to do a double pie cut to make sure that I have the edges lined up properly. But that's looking pretty good. The only issue I have is that when I do this, you know, this is supposed to be one of my luggage compartments. Remember, we changed this whole thing up so we could save some space, and now I'm taking up real estate again. But I've got a plan. This board is at 4.5 inches, and this is my favorite Optima battery. So what I was wanting to do is, instead of running a straight piece here, I was going to go ahead and build a battery hold down, a battery box, if you will, out of heavy gauge steel, and use that to support the frame back there. So let's build it. Alright, well, I've got the battery set in place, just kind of on some 2x4s right now. And, you know, I'm actually just thinking about running this bottom tube straight across and then putting a 60-degree down pipe onto the cross member here, just like I did over here. So it'd be kind of matching this one here. Won't give me as much rigidity as a straight member, but with this heavy 1x1 inch steel frame, I can go ahead and drop another piece down the back side, weld the whole thing in, then triangulate that as well, and that should really beef up this whole corner right here. The question is, of course, if this side is going to be so good, what am I going to do with the other side? But I think this is going to work okay. Like I said, it's not a ton of room up here. But let's see, we've got 4, 5, 6, 7 inches of cargo depth right here, so it is what it is. You know, what can you put in 7 inches? Double check the level of this top brace. Perfect. Of course, I didn't show you the 15 minutes of grinding that it took to get there. So let's tack this in. Alright, let's go ahead and give it a little more weld. This is the battery tray. I want to slide this down into place. And it's going to be welded in just like that. Alright. And like I said, I'm gonna put a diagonal across here to help support the battery. This will be welded to the frame over here. Then I have another diagonal across here to help reinforce this truss there. So that should help give this piece here a lot more rigidity as well. So, good design. Well, that was kind of ugly. Alright, well here we are on the driver's side of the rear suspension, and instead of building a battery box down here, because we don't need two batteries, we are just going to run a straight support from the cradle to this crossover. And to get the measurement, we're going to use our angle finder. Right around 60, so about a 30-degree angle. So we'll need to cut this piece here at 30 degrees and 30 degrees to make it fit properly. So here's my piece of steel with two cuts on it. So we'll just kind of drop this into place. And look at that. That is close. I'm going to have to do a little bit of grinding on the very bottom down here, but that is super close. Alright, well I think that completes the rear suspension. We've got everything braced pretty well. We'll do all our finish welding when we pull the frame back out. So let's go to the front and let's brace that part. Alright, well I mentioned in a previous video how I wanted to take some 1.5 inch by 3 inch steel and run it underneath the floor pan to reinforce this frame through here. But now that I have this front cross member, this works out really well. So I'm just going to take this 1.5 by 3, I'm going to run from this cross member straight back here to where I've reinforced it against the rear suspension. And then we're going to triangulate it in a couple of spots. And that will be perfect. Beautiful. Fantastic. 44 3/8. Just the width of these 1.5 by 3 inch connectors here will give a lot more rigidity to this frame, but we're going to go ahead and triangulate these just to make sure nothing moves. So we're going to run another piece from here to there and from there to out there. And that'll really lock this V into place. I decided to do 1.5 square tubing for the bracing. I don't feel like I really need the full 1.5 inch by 3, so I'm trying to save a little weight. Also, in that like spirit, I'm not going to run this out to the middle here. I'm just going to brace the corners on either side. That should give me plenty of strength. And that's looking really good. I gotta do just a tad bit of trimming here for some flash. And before I weld this in, I need to go ahead and weld this joint first. Alright, so same thing on the front section here. I need to weld this joint first before I weld in the brace. Lather, rinse, repeat for the other side. With this brace in place, these bars are not going anywhere, but I still need to reinforce this one here to make sure it doesn't move anywhere. So we're going to take one more piece, and I need to think of how I want to do this. Two options. One, I can go across here, or two, I can go across here. I've already had this piece here set in place, so going from here to the upright isn't so bad. I might still have room for my exhaust if I ever decide to run rear exhaust, but like I said, there's no room for rear exhaust, so it probably doesn't make any difference. So with the turbo sitting here, sorry, spoiler alert, with an additional power adder sitting here, I may need some room to work on it. You know, feed lines, oil feed lines, water feed lines, who knows. So I might want to try to keep this area here empty for now. So I am thinking about running one across here at a 45, but I'll have to angle it upwards. What was this? 20 degrees? Is that what it was? I gotta double check my old videos. But we'll measure this and make sure we get the up angle correct. This is my template. It's adjustable, okay? I cut a 45 degrees on the primary angle, and then I cut another 12 degrees on the secondary angle. So we can go in here and try this in, and bam, look at that. Now because it's adjustable, I can pull this out some and see how far out I can go and still clear my headers. I mean, that is a lot of room right there. That was more than I needed. So, just to make things nice and neat, in case I decide to cut these off, I'm going to put this edge even with the edge of this bracing right here. So I'm going to mark that, and then we'll cut some steel. Alright, so this is where that piece is going to be fitting. And we got tons of room to our exhaust if we ever decide to run under the car exhaust. So let's tack this guy in. that's a little bit more than just stacked in. But I'm pretty confident that's going to stay there. So let's go to the other side and let's see if our template is going to fit over there as well. Alright, let's see here. Will this work over here? If I can keep this thing set properly. Right there. And, oh, hang on. I'm on the wrong corner. It's going inside here. Alright, well, we need one more brace on the front of this frame to help hold these things in their spot. I mean, the lower chassis will do quite a bit. Well, we still need to brace this upper. The radiator is going to be sitting right out here somewhere, so we can't intrude too far into that. So I'm going to just lightly tack this in place for now. I'm not really sure where it's going to go. So we'll just try this and we'll just kind of see how it starts to work. We may have to cut this out and redo it. But let's see, 30.5 inches. I'll just put it right back here in this pocket area. Alright, well, I think I want to put that front cross member right in here. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim this up a little bit more. I'm going to skinny eyes this mounting position here, make it match this lower pad, and then we'll weld that to 1.5 by 3 right up against here. This will also give me a way to brace the cross member for torsional forces as well. Alright, that'll work for that front cross member. Now the last thing I do today is to build a couple of body mounts. Alright, so we'll grind this down and try to weld it in. Alright, well, here is my standoff for this front body mount here. Cut a little hole in there so I can get to the bolt from inside. So let's try this in and see how it fits. It might be a little bit tall right now because I added that little 1/8 inch plate on top. So I need to grind maybe a 1/16 or an 1/8 inch off the bottom to get this thing to fit better. Boy, it is close though. Alright, well, this is my gas tank support that I pulled out from the back frame rail. I thought I did a great job making these little notches so I can get to the suspension bolts back there. But where I had this frame rail set up, it actually interferes with the body mounts. Now, it's not really a mount, it's more like a resting area, kind of a locating feature for this body that's dropped down in there. So it needs to be lowered. This thing here needs to be lowered about an inch or so to make sure I can get my body mounts all the way down here behind the seats. So I thought about my options here, and I can go in here and cut this out or cut this out and re-weld it, and I decided I'm just going, I got some more 1.5 by 3 inch tube, so I'm just going to cut this piece out and redo it and move these little notches a little farther up. Alright, so this is where I need to cut this new piece. So you can see how much higher the bolt is going to be when I lower this bracket an inch. So I'm just going to cut this out. I'm going to weld this in here, actually sticking up a little bit. You'll see here in a second. And then we'll remount this. The gas tank support is tacked into place. I can't show that right now. It's too hard to get in there and show. But when I pull the body up, I'll show you how I lowered it down an inch or so. This is one of the 2 rear body mounts that I need to weld to that gas tank support. It's just a piece of 3x3. I think this is an 8 gauge, and I'm using a little plate on top of it. This is going to mount like that up against the body. I'm going to weld it to the frame, and then later I'll mark the hole and drill it for the bolt. So I'm just going to weld the perimeter real quick, and then we'll tack that in place as well. Alright guys, well, I pulled the body up, and now you can see the gas tank surround support, and we've got clear access to our bolts for the suspension. Like I said, we've dropped this down about 1 inch. I've already tacked it, so I'm going to go ahead and reinforce these welds a little bit so I don't knock this loose. This is my body support, rear body mount, so I'm going to go ahead and weld this in as well so this does not move on me. And just about done. Guys, well, there is my frame. So what I'm going to do next, and I'm not going to show this on video, but I'm going to go ahead and pull out the engine transmission. I'm I'm gonna strip off all the suspension and I'm gonna start finish welding all these joints. I need to cap any open tubes and basically make it look pretty again. And then maybe even throw some primer on there or something, I don't know. But that's it for this video. So if you liked it, hit that like button. And if you haven't subscribed, definitely hit that subscribe button. I appreciate all your views, I appreciate your comments, and stay tuned for the next video. Thanks.